Hello, this is On Imagination with a Healing Garden, and I am fucking chilling right now. So, I've decided to focus right now on manifestation and light work. I did a little thing yesterday. I can't remember what I did yesterday on it. And I realized more and more I'm getting to this point where I'm like, yeah, I want to kind of talk about this. And there's a lot with light work where when we come in, we're doing, there's this concept that we all want to heal, and it's absolutely wonderful. I love it. And there's this massive movement where a lot of people are definitely thinking about stuff like that now, where we're very much driven and focused on how to help other people. I'm concerned because, well, this is really my only concern, is people are eagerly wanting to heal others without first healing themselves. People are talking about all the ways that they want to help others without actually doing the work to take care of themselves. And what ends up happening is you'll get into the middle of your work and then you'll break down and you can't help them. And it also comes down to the question of how do you end up helping other people? How do you heal them? And there is, I am huge. There's like this huge, massive section where it's a lot of talking about, there's two approaches. There is the talking about healing in the sense of just think happy thoughts. There's that route. And that has some merit to it, and it doesn't at the same time. It only goes so far, basically. And you have to have understanding. If you don't have understanding, then you are in the danger of suppressing it. So it's really, and even worse is you're not, there's a lot of concerns I have with the concept of just putting yourself in a position where you are not actually doing the work. You're just suppressing it. So that's one hypothetical. The other one is, and the other thing is when you're focused on just thinking happy thoughts, you're missing information, you're missing detail. It basically, people are wanting a get healthy quick scheme. They're wanting something fast without any of the work or any of the trauma. And it doesn't work that way. So it's a question of how do you process the trauma effectively without getting bogged down. And that's really when you look at shadow work. I will say it a million times over. Nathaniel Brandon's Six Pillars of Self-Esteem is the best shadow work book I have ever seen. It's extraordinary. And his process is thorough, proper, precise, and it's philosophical based. It is 100% spot on. It is the same process I used, and once I combined it with Triadic healing, it was like over in no time. And the problem is when you sit down with a therapist, the therapist just trudges you through the details of shadow work, and no one wants to go through that. Really, I'm also a huge proponent on love being a very powerful thing, giving people literally unconditional love. And it's something that they're just, you know what, I'm going to go right down to animals here. When I worked with, I've done a lot of work with animals and the psychology of animals and how animals behave under abuse and trauma. I have worked with cats and dogs with PTSD and their behavioral sciences on how an animal handles PTSD, which is very, very similar to a human being. Now, I can't sit down and go over things with a cat or a dog on understanding what happened to them. What we do instead with basically bringing animals back from that kind of trauma is giving them a place of unconditional acceptance and love. And that is a huge part of it. But this is where the cognitive response of animals is lower than a human being. Some human beings. Foundationals have the same problem that animals do, where they can't process the trauma, so they get stuck in it, which is why foundationals don't seek out healing, is because you have to be a certain intelligence level in order to have to be able to process it. And if you're not at a certain intelligence level, you don't need to understand it to process it. And I think this is the problem. When you are working with a foundational, they don't have to understand it to process it, which is why they're not in pain, which is why they're not seeking any kind of change, is because they are getting more from the abuse and the trauma than they're actually getting from healing. And if you think about economics with a person having this ability to basically expand on what they have, if you look at somebody who's in a position where there's a basically it's a risk reward factor. Your risk has to be lower than the reward. And in the foundationals, the risk is exceptionally high and the reward is exceptionally low. And as a result, there's no incentive for them to process, go through the trauma, or heal. None. And then you look at somebody who's a level 5 or a level 6 perspective in their stage of growth, and there is more reward than there is risk. They lose less than they will gain, so now you have the incentive for them to actually change and adjust. But they're also at a further advanced stage of growth. So when you look at animals and human beings all on the same spectrum, the animals are way over here. The humans are pretty much in the same space. If you look at the intelligence of a cat, a dog who's been abused, and a human being that's been abused in the first through fourth perspective, they're almost identical. There's not a lot of differences there, which is why none of them need to process the trauma. If you take those same people and you put them in in a setting of unconditional love, they'll heal just fine. They'll recover because they will have forgotten the trauma without suppressing the trauma. But it only works in foundationals 1 through 4. And only if their ethical core is not more than where they are. And then when you get them into 5 and 6, they've officially gotten to a point where their intelligence is surpassed to a point where they need to understand the trauma. Now you're getting into higher thinking. So that is where you're going to have to understand what took place. It's not just a simple, let's completely surround you with unconditional love, which is why if you have a child who's only 2 or 3 years old, they don't have to understand it. They just need a different environment where they can be healthy and grow. So if you are somebody who's sitting there going, I want to help people, I want to heal people, there's 2 ways we can go about doing this. You can do your own practice, which is fan-fucking-tastic. That's amazing. And yeah, I think that's really what I want to focus on is how are you going to take what you know about healing and pass it on to other people? How can you? What are all the ways that you can do to help other people? We have this massive surplus right now of people seriously looking for coaching and looking for healing, and a lot of people screaming for help and screaming for pain to be resolved. And as a result, you have this massive growing industry with a massive amount of healers and this massive high demand of people needing healers at a time when the traditional therapist route is significantly lacking. And basically the community is coming together to pick up the slack to compensate for the lack of traditional therapy because they are falling short. And that's where Triadic healing comes in. That's where the healing garden comes in. The concept of uniting light workers, basically putting us all under the same roof, is 2 things. First of all, you all come here with your own desire to heal other people. Absolutely, do that, 100%. Here's the tools. Now, you can do it your own way. You can focus on yoga. You can focus on anything you want to focus on. Or I'm offering a certified course where I teach people my method so you can teach it to other people. So you can become the Healing Garden healer and use my techniques to teach other people. That's a whole process. And if you're interested in that, comment below. I'll get you the information. So the certification is a huge part of the Healing Garden with where I'm wanting to go with light workers. Now, in addition to that, there's also the World Peace Manifestation. Now, in order for this to work, you need to know how manifestation works. That way we all can sit down and we can manifest. And when we manifest, it's focusing on world peace. And I'm going to go ahead and do that actually right now. I want to do a manifestation episode right now where we sit down and we literally just focus on world peace. And it's words like trying to think the right words. It's when you focus on you are going to see world peace. We will see world peace. We will see the majority of people moving toward an environment and a place, a mindset where healing and love is the goal. And in order to get there, and this is really where the Healing Garden and where my own name brand steps in, where I say, look, if you want a better place, if you want healing, and if you want a world of world peace, you need to understand what you're really dealing with. And if you're not realistic about what you're really dealing with, about what the problem really is, then you're not going to get anywhere. And that's the part where it's time to stop lying to ourselves. The real problem is parents are horrible, horrible parents. And we're so busy telling parents what a great job they're doing when they're not, that we're not being honest. It's time to end the bullshit. Parents are horrible, horrible parents. They have no idea. And if you are a millennial walking into a life not having children yet, or if you are a Gen Z and you're going, how do I even parent? It's time to start parenting classes. It's time to really start thinking about, look, let's acknowledge the fact that our parents taught us toxic, narcissistic behavior, completely steeped in codependency. And if you don't make the conscious awareness to learn how to parent properly, then what chance does the future have? We'll just keep repeating the same mistake, expecting different results. We call that insanity. We all know this. So the parents are a big part of this. And parents are so busy being told that they're doing a great job because we value the ego of a parent more than the health of their child. We value the ego of parents more than we value the health of their children. And I'm at a point where I'm going, no, don't spare the parent's ego. Preserve the child's mental health. It's literally the parent's ego versus the child's mind. And we have generation upon generation of us sacrificing and destroying children's minds for the sake of the parent's ego. No, no more. I'm saying no more. So that's one massive part of this. If you are a teacher and you are walking into the cultivator mindset where you want to help young minds, fantastic. We have a lot of work ahead of us. We have a lot of, okay, this is how the subconscious mind works. So yeah, we're definitely looking at getting triadic healing into into teachers, into classrooms, and basically learning this method. That way they can turn right around and they can plug it into their children and say, this is how the subconscious mind works. This is what you need to know. We need to know about the 6 parts of the mental health system, of the mental mind system. We need to understand what emotions are and how they work. We need to understand the cognitive core. You need to know about the defense system. And that's what it keeps coming down to, is mastering the 6 parts of the mind. And once you have that mastery down, you have the ability to step back and manage and maneuver it, and then guide the children. Don't do for. Acknowledge when you are enabling and neglecting versus being a cheerleader for the child. Because you really want to find that sweet space where you step back and you give the child the space and you root them on without enabling and without neglecting. You don't want to project. You don't want to project yourself, and you don't want to internalize it. That's another thing that we need to keep balanced, is our enabling, our neglect, our projecting, and our internalizing. Those things have to stop. And then once we have all of these pieces in place, we can take a massive step back from that, and we can start looking at the larger picture of, okay, parents are now focusing, teachers are now on board. Let's start doing a DIY healing method with triadic healing, instead of telling you, you know what, you can't take care of your healing, you really need a professional, because there's not enough professionals in the world to heal you. There isn't. I'm done teaching people or giving people fish. We're done with this. The crisis is way too bad. You're gonna have to do your own healing. So utilize the Triadic Healing's DIY program. Utilize this DIY program. Get it established. Figure out what you're going to do with it and start walking yourself through it. And if you need extra help, I have a workshop. Jump into the workshop. That's every Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do a workshop where I sit down and that's all we talk about is Triadic Healing. And okay, let's get ourselves back together again. And you're not going to have anybody there. It is a lonely process. And it's only lonely for a little while, and then you get basically a group together and you have your support group in the Triadic Healing. It's all there. So between the DIY healing, the parents, the teachers, and then becoming aware of how all of this works, walking through the podcast, combining that with all of the resources with World Peace, manifesting the right things, using manifestation in a way that is strategic so you're getting the most out of what you need. Now we're seeing change. Now we're going to see something. And in addition to that, once you understand the evolution of growth, where we're going, oh my God, it's so hopeful. So hopeful. Because we are looking at a decline of the foundationals finally shifting so that instead of the majority of people being third and fourth perspectives, it's switching over to the fifth and the sixth perspective. And the fifth and the fifth perspective very much value growth and education, which the foundationals don't, which is why they kept cutting our education programs. So the first thing we're going to see is a massive uptick in all of the educational programs coming through. So I think I'm done talking on all of my theories. And I think I am actually at a point now where I'm ready to start talking about my plan. I am at a point where I'm ready to start talking to you about my plan. Because for the last year, I have been podcasting nonstop about triadic healing. You've seen it in action. You're watching it work. It's extraordinary. And this smoke effect, by the way, is really something else. Take a look at this thing. I'm just like, I'm totally, it is a rainy, cold day in New York City today. It's New York. It's cold. It's rainy. It's September. I'm loving it. But I'm like cozy weather. So I've got this nice incense burning. I've got my bowl, like everything is all set, and I'm chilling. So I think that's it, that's where I'm at, is I'm ready to sit down and start walking you through the plan. And this is the plan, the Operation Imagination. I'm going to show you how we're going to save the world. And this is it. So parents, teachers, yeah, and that's it. It's parents, it's teachers, and then it's DIY. It's do your own healing. So if you're a cultivator, that puts you in the parent category. It puts you in the teacher category. Those are cultivators, because a cultivator is somebody who nourishes the future. If you are a foundational, I'm just going to close that door for now. The DIY healing is there, but you've got a long road ahead of you. And most people aren't here. If they're a foundational, they're not here. It's because, okay, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to get real with you. If you are a second stage perspective and you're wanting to heal, you're going to have to give up your religion. You're going to have to give up your God. Sorry, tough cookies. That's the way it goes. Because you are actually using your religion as an enabling emotional prosthetic. You are using your God to comfort you instead of actually dealing with your problem. So you actually have to abandon your religion and give it up in order to actually do the healing you need to heal. Now, most second perspectives refuse to do that. So until and unless you do that, you're stuck at second perspective, because your religion, your God, is an emotional prosthetic. And we're looking now at that risk and the reward. You're getting way too much comfort out of your delusion. Yes, delusion. You're getting way too much comfort out of your delusion to even bother pursuing a different reward. So if you're here to look for good, comforting material to make you feel optimistic, I don't do that. I don't do that. So yeah, second perspectives aren't here. Third perspectives are narcissists. They don't ask for help. They lack the core lesson in life to ask for help. So third perspectives aren't here. Fourth perspectives, why would they change? Fourth perspectives love the way the planet is. Fourth perspectives are getting everything they've ever wanted. Rules, conformity, everyone fitting into beautiful little boxes, completely at the mercy of their rules and their laws. They get to boss everybody around. There is no incentive for a fourth perspective to get any better. Your wife might leave you. Well, yes, because your wife is probably seeking out a less rigid lifestyle, but you have such a severe need to control other people. Without self-government, you're not going to leave where you are, not until you grow. In order to grow, you need to read a book. Literally, you need to get smarter. You need to be educated. But most adults, after they're 20 years old, don't pursue any education, which is why you're stuck at fourth perspective. So if you're a fourth perspective here, just looking for your life to get back on track because you're not happy with the way things are, sorry, that's not the way life works. You're not going to go anywhere because you're not looking to save yourself. You're not looking to heal yourself. You're looking to control other people. And you're using healing as a method to try and control other people. So you're not actually going to get better. Not at all. Ooh, I can feel myself shifting to the next stage. Ooh, I feel it. Ooh, this is interesting. I've settled into the 10th. Ooh, this is interesting. I need to go back on my documentation. Now this one's going to get uploaded into my podcast because now I can feel it shifting into the 10th. I have settled into the 10th. All right then. So then when you look at the 5th perspective, now we're talking. Now you've got the first 4 solid ethics. Those first 4 solid ethics, now you're talking about growth. Now you're prioritizing education. But you have one more lesson to learn, and that's self-accountability. And that's a big one. If you don't learn self-accountability, you're going to stay right where you are. So the majority of people who are here aren't even 5th perspectives, because you have not learned self-comfort and resourcefulness and humility, realizing your own limitations and asking for help. You have not learned how to self-govern. You are completely using all of these emotional prosthetics to cope with your problems instead of actually dealing with your problems. 5th perspectives are looking for something more. They want to be CEOs, and they're trying to get companies and businesses off the ground. So they want to be entrepreneurs, but they have too much mental garbage in their way. So now that risk reward is balanced. So now there is more reward than there is risk. So the 5th perspective will actually want to pursue getting better. And that's really it. The first 4 perspectives have emotional prosthetics that completely deny them any incentive to want to get better. So why would I waste my time creating a program for a bunch of 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th perspectives when they will not even touch it because they won't do the work? So yes, I'm closing the door on foundationals because they're not ready. When they finally pass the test and they get to the 5th perspective and they finally say, all right, I'm learning self-accountability. Now I'm ready for help. Now I will work with you. Now I will work with you. So yes, that is me officially deciding that I will not be working with foundationals ever. I am not going to be making a DIY Triadic healing program for them because they have failed the first 4 tests. And until they pass the first 4 tests, no one is going to help them, because the ultimate test is that 5th perspective, which is I am accountable. Until you learn self-accountability, you're not going to seek healing, which is why the majority of people who are in my presence are 6th perspectives, because a 6th perspective has learned the first 4 ethics and self-accountability. They're finally at that stage where they can step up and say, I did done fucked up and I need to set this right. Now you're ready to heal. So it is with absolute solid confidence that I can close the door and say, I do not work with foundationals. I will not. Now, what we need is parents and teachers who are deliberately hands-on, working with our children, getting them to a better point in their life. But I don't see 4th perspectives doing that. I don't see third perspectives definitely won't do that. 2nd perspectives might do that, maybe. But they're more concerned about making sure their children learn their religion than actually taking care of their children. So we're back to I do not see 2nd, 3rd, or 4th perspectives. But 2nd, 3rd, 4th perspectives are mostly baby boomers and Gen X's. There's a lot of millennials who aren't that anymore. Millennials are all falling to the 5th perspective. So yeah, there is absolutely no help for them. There's no help for them. My mother is a 65-year-old plus woman who is a 2nd perspective. She will not change. She will not give up her Jesus. She absolutely uses her Jesus as an emotional prosthetic to enable her own insecurities and delusions. She is more happy with her Jesus than she is miserable. No, she will never. And she's currently raising her granddaughter because her daughter is so incompetent and is incapable of raising her own daughter. And she is already putting that codependency on top of her granddaughter, and she's already creating another problem. And that's a baby boomer for you. So it's really we're going to see this massive setback with millennials who are being taken care of by the baby boomer grandparent. And that's the problem. It's a minor problem because it's just going to be a small setback. But the majority of millennials care. Now they're saying things like, I want to wait to have children. I want to make sure that I get my shit mentally straightened out before I have children. Now those are the people I can work with. Those are my people. Those are my cultivators. So I have the cultivating partners. I have parents. I have teachers. But again, we're still looking at millennials. We are still looking at millennials. We are looking at Gen Zs. So the goal is to get teachers to a point where they can understand the DIY Triadic healing, and they can incorporate it into the schools so that they can start coaching the children through it. But my target for the most part is going to be Gen Z, where Gen Z is now 18, 19, 20 years old going, wow, this is the earth we've inherited. It's shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know. Here you go. Here's some Triadic healing. Help you out. So we have the DIY for basically millennials and Gen Zs, and also for the alpha generation when they get old enough and they're ready. So that's my goal, is the millennials and the alphas and the Gen Zs. That's what I'm targeting. For the parents and the teachers, if you want to be a cultivator and you want to basically use this for your own parenting, absolutely. So I'm going to do I think the best way to do this would be a cultivating class, like a Triadic healing for the cultivator. Yeah, I love that. And I'll put them in the same class together. So DIY, so there's DIY Triadic healing, and that's Triadic healing for the self. DIY Triadic healing. And then there is cultivator. Now, if you are looking for relationship advice, that would go under Triadic healing, cultivator. And that's your parents, that is your teachers, and that is your any kind of a relationship that you're in. That is going to be your cultivators. And then the DIY Triadic healing, that's going to be the individual. That's going to be 100% on your own. There you go. And then light work. If you want to go on to be a healer, I'm going to be doing certification to teach you how to use DIY Triadic healing to incorporate it in your own courses. So that's going to be the DIY Triadic healing certification for light workers. So those are going to be my 3 primary focuses with the DIY Triadic healing. So again, it's individual, DIY Triadic healing for the self, and then there is Triadic healing for the cultivator. That's for parents, teachers, and relationships. That teaches you how to use Triadic healing alongside another individual. So whether or not you are working with children or you are working with a partner, it's a relationship. So it's DIY with people. That's the Triadic healing single versus the Triadic healing with people. That's your cultivator. And then there's the certification for Triadic healing if you want to become a certified healer and you want to basically get the Healing Garden stamp of approval so you can use this technique for your own healing. So that's going to be the other area, the certification, and that's for light workers. And that's pretty much all I'm going to be offering for Triadic healing, is for the self, the cultivator, or the light worker, the certification. So that's that plan. Now, outside of that, I'm going to have the manifestation, the world peace manifestation. And I also have my round table, which is also available. And the round table is basically $15,000 per member. You get a seat at the Healing Garden round table, and there's $500 for an application fee, and then we're going to sit down and we're going to vote on and discuss pretty much whatever it is we want to target as far as healing, as far as helping the homeless, taking care of hunger, and that money, the $15,000 per member, is going to go toward any event or any kind of charity cause. We're not donating it to a different charity. Healing Garden is the charity. We are going to be using that money to create the event, to put it toward a certain cause, to get it taken care of. So there's the Healing Garden Roundtable, the Manifestation World Peace Day, the certification for light workers, the cultivators for Triadic healing, and the Triadic healing DIY self program. Those are your 5 different options with the Healing Garden. Now, there's one more, and that is my own personal brand, Anna Imagination. That is where I go off and I do my celebration of life, and I do my field trips for adults. And that's where I have my healing resorts. I do my Healing Garden resorts. And I'm good. I'm putting all of this together, and I'm looking at it going, I'm really fucking happy with how this is all just falling together, because it really is going very well. I am just so fucking happy with how all of this has just fallen together. And realizing this now, it's now okay, I need to get out of this and stop doing the podcast. Now I think I'm ready to just promote it and talk about it. So I'm going to be doing definitely weekly meetings now where I sit down and I cover everything that I do, the progress of all of this. This is the plan. This is the plan that I've had in place since May of 2022. This is what I saw was all of this. Was all of these pillars. So, as far as my own brand goes, I basically have Anna's Elite, and then I have Anna's Elite. I have my Dungeons and Dragons now. Yes. And I have my field trips for adults. So the field trips are there, and Anna's Elite is, that's my New York City stuff only. So, like I said, this is all just coming together beautifully. So, I think it's time that I start promoting instead of talking about triadic healing, because like I said, it's all there. You can go on, you can take a look, and everything has really fallen into place. I do offer one-on-one coaching for now. It's not going to be something I do very often, and I only do like 3 clients. So if you're interested in becoming a client, I'm going to tell you right now, for now it's $2,000 a month. It's like $500 a week. The price is going to go up, and then I'm going to just not offer it at all, because my reason for doing one-on-one is literally application and research. It's so I can take my triadic healing and confirm and fine-tune it. So I'm probably going to put that through 3 cases total, maybe 5 at most. So when I say 3 to 5 clients, I mean for life, not a month, for life. Because, and I've already got 1 down. I have a couple others. So, like the clock is ticking. If you want to become a one-on-one client with me, this is literally the only window, and then I'm closing it forever, and I'm walking away from that part of my life, because it's fantastic for putting this data in when I'm doing the research on triadic healing and I'm tightening it up, but really I'm looking at it going, the clock is ticking. There's a good chance that by the end of 2024, I'm not going to be doing any one-on-one clients at all. Coaching is such a dirty word to me. It's not what I do. What I do is build this monstrosity, and then I teach other people how to do certification. But even then, this is what you need to know, this is how to do it, and there you go. I've done so much different things. I've tried so many things, and it just does not work with me. So we have the Journey into the Self. If you're wanting the workshop that I do on Tuesdays, that's available. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's a really tight ship that I run here. Absolutely a tight ship. So the links are all available on my Linktree account. If you want to jump in and find out all the things that you can do to get involved, grab my Linktree account. I'm definitely going to be doing these talks, these videos regularly. Like I'm at a point now where I'm like, I think I'm ready to shift everything on over to light work now and start focusing on that. And that's really it. And I feel a lot more solid about deciding not to work with foundationals at all. I've been ethically torn, because I'm like, no one left behind, but I'm sitting here, the more I look at it, the more I communicate with seconds, thirds, and fourths, I'm looking at it going, these are people who don't want to be helped. Bottom line, they don't want to be helped, and they're not going to want to get help until they do ABC, and there's no incentive and they're not doing it. Why am I worried about taking care of people who don't want to be helped? If you do want to be helped, here's the facility, here it all is. And if you want to know more about what Triadic Healing does, you can go ahead and take a look at my website. Again, the link is down below. Take a look at my Linktree account. So that wraps up everything as far as my big picture goes and what my project is. Absolutely jump on. If you are wanting to join in my life celebration, that is Sunshine Imagination Adventures. That is where my Anna Imagination brand is separate from the Healing Garden, and that's when I'm just on this whole kick of I'm going to live my life and celebrate it. So there's very much 2 parts to me. There's the Healing Garden, Triadic Healing, and World Peace. Certifying people, getting them the Triadic Healing so that they can heal other people. There's the cultivators, there's the DIY Triadic Healing. But that's not where I am, because I've already done that, and this is just here. This is the stuff that I use to help yourself. But I'm going to go over here now, and I'm going to play, because that's where I am in life. And my life looks like field trips with Anna and Burning Man and a whole lot of other awesome shit, and my Dungeons and Dragons game and my Anna's Elite. So if that's the shit that interests you, that's phase 2. So phase 1 is the Healing Garden, and that's where all the healing gets taken place. But that's not where I'm going to be. That's where I'm going to leave all of my tools for you, because I'm going to go live life now. Because I just did all of that healing for like 9 years after I did like 20 years of research before that. So I'm going to go play with life now, and I'm going to go live my life and have a lot of fucking fun. If you want to join me, welcome to phase 2. I call it Sunshine Imagination Adventures. Yeah! So that's really it. Do you want to go the Healing Garden route, or do you want to go Sunshine Imagination Adventures? And those are your options. And that's it. So yeah, I'm so fucking happy. I figured my life out. Figured out my shit. So, if you love shit like this, like, subscribe, follow, comment below, let me know what part of the show resonated with you. And if you can't get enough shit like this, become a member. Jump into my group. Join me for Sunshine Imagination Adventures. Grab my link tree. Take a look at all the awesome shit I do. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.